Hello everyone, this is Terry. Welcome to my YouTube channel Amethystastrotarot. I'm a practicing astrologer and a tarot reader, and for your professional astrological chart interpretation request or tarot reading request, you can always reach me throughout the links in my profile. Today is the 8th of May 2025. I have been a little bit delayed with the decan walk, but thank God we are still in the second decan of Taurus. At least the sun is in the second decan of Taurus, and today I would be talking about the second 10 degrees of the fixed and earth sign Taurus. The first one I have done a few weeks ago. It's been, I think, a few weeks. Yeah, it was at the beginning of the season, Taurus season. I did that with the Barbra Streisand. And today the chart would be the chart of Adele, about whom I made actually quite a long video last year with her natal chart interpretations and forecastings, and the forecasting turned out to be on spot regarding her making a choice about focusing more on her private life and finishing her residencies, etc. That I will share that video as well. But the thing is that, as we always say, one decan, one card, one chart. So the decan is second decan of Taurus, where we have the, according to descending order, the decan ruler is Moon, though the traditional ruler of Taurus is Venus, and according to the triplicity, as the second sign coming, Earth sign coming after Taurus is Virgo. In that sense, according to the triplicity order, we will have the decan ruler as Mercury. So when we are looking, at least in the chart, also when we are looking at the card minor arcana associated with this decan, which is the Six of Pentacles, we can always think about the Moon and Mercury in Taurus impacts as well. So when we are looking at as I said, let's start with the card. Let me share the card Six of Pentacles with you from the Rider-Waite Smith. As we can see, we have the Six of Pentacles here. I think it's about like we see the balance here. It's, I think, more like it reminds me always more like Libra, or that balance that is coming through the Venus impact. But there is this also here, the need to share what we earned with the others. I think we give more value to what we have by giving to the others who are in need as well. So it's like at one hand we are actually caring about the others with the actually physical properties, the what we own, right? It's a way of showing our care, showing our nurture through more like the physical subjects, instead of it's not a caring or nurturing in a way, or showing this maybe sense of security or safety to others in a more emotional level, but it's more like in a physical level. I won't say it's mental, but it's more like physical through the money that we give. It could be food that we give, and that's the way that maybe we express our emotions, the reflection of our inner world in a more physical way, maybe in that sense. And I think that also there is this maybe logic coming through, the idea that is coming through, that it's like also my mother used to say that it's interesting, she had the moon in Taurus as well, but it's more like that when we think there is an idea that you give, if you share more, then your wealth, your abundance increases at the same level. At least that's a belief, because sharing is a way of caring, but also it's a way of, because if you just uh, in somehow just accumulate and just keep to yourself, then at the end of the day, the prosperity uh, decreases, and you don't have, some people may have joy, but you don't have the joy of enjoying that money or increasing that value more. I don't know. I think that's a idea that I have, at least. I mean, like, so also, I mean, it's like a, I don't know if you can see in this card, but when we are talking about the moon in Taurus, we have this the sense of security maybe coming through more like rituals, routines, that I mean, like, that stability that is coming through. And it could be the case that for this gentleman here, it could be the case that it could be a part of his daily routine as well. I mean, like, that you go and there are people that are in need, and every day you give a bit to them in a balanced way. I think it requires, it actually consists of both that moon in Taurus, and the Taurus being um, ruled traditionally by Venus at the same time. No, you are trying to give that whatever you have in hand, or whatever you have in extra, because you already made everything, and you say that, I mean, why don't I share, why don't I give comfort, and you may turn it to into a daily routine. Of course, it's different than maybe a Virgo routine, but at the end of the day, I think the, again, moon in Taurus people may feel this uh, safety, their safety valve in a way, by doing things in a certain ritualistic way at the end of the day. So I think it could be part of his daily rituals as well. I mean, so we can think about like that, which I didn't look at this card before like that, but now I'm thinking about all this moon in Taurus impact that came to my mind. And Mercury in Taurus, I mean, when we think about Mercury, which soon, actually in 2 days, Mercury will be starting its journey in the sign of Taurus. We think about, like, for example, in Aries, there's this more like, let's start this, think about this, think about that. It's like everything, and then it's more about starting, and then sometimes running impatient, and then the ideas kind of, I mean, rushing through our mind. But uh, Mercury in Taurus is about more stability. It's more about, like, maybe taking things in a much slower way, but we make sure that we every step that we make, there is a much more sense in it, and much more thinking put into that. And maybe the journey could be longer because we are going slowly, but there could be more grounding and steadiness that is coming through. Of course, I mean, sometimes there could be the cases that since it's a fixed sign, it's like there could be some resistance, stagnation. Sometimes, I mean, like that, we may think that the idea is best, and we may have difficulty changing that kind of thinking process. Uh, but at the end of the day, this is the swift Mercury. Maybe make a round, trick the Taurus and find its way at the end of the day. But I think that kind of stable thinking, I mean, the practical thinking could be part of this Mercury in Taurus as well. And I think there could be that, I don't know if there is any other gain for this person who is sharing some part of his wealth with the people in need. If there's any agenda, let's say, behind that, but there could be a really steady uh, thinking behind it, and also it could be a way to um, communicate with other people in a more grounded way, and in a more, maybe again, ritualistic way. So it's really interesting. I think we can't get lots of out of this card more. As every time I look, every time I think about the decan rulers, I think more comes to my mind, and it's always, I mean, good to see all the symbolism, how the people look at him, how he looks at them, and all the pentacles here, how they are hanging, and again the scale, the clothing, everything could give us different ideas and different perspectives about this card, and how he can read within the context of the question asked by ourselves or by the querent at that moment. So I will stop sharing the Six of Pentacles. That was an interesting brainstorming in a way about this card, I think. And I will now look at the uh, chart of Adele. I mean, only in terms of her sun in the second decan of Taurus, and let's say happy belated birthday to Adele as well. So when we are looking at here, that's the Adele's birth chart. At least that's the information that we have. She was born on the 5th of May, 1988. And this year I also had talked about that she had no, not this year, the year before it was her Jupiter return, yeah. Okay, just ignore that part. And we see that her sun is in the 15th degree of Taurus, which is in the second 10 degrees of the sign. And then when we are thinking about her sun, as I talked about the moon in Taurus, and that and the Mercury in Taurus, we can always think that these planets' expression in the sign of Taurus could have an impact on her identity, and then how she expresses herself to the outer world, and it's like her conscious part that is seen in the world, and how in a way she stands out, she shines. I mean, like that sun shining, that's all the how she uh, gives the rays of the, or reflects the rays of the sun to the world. Especially it's an 11th house sun. We can think that it's in the wider community, in the groups, in the I mean, like all the organizations that is part among her friends. And also it's the house of the hopes and dreams that is taken as that as well. So how this uh, how she can express herself when it comes to the hopes and dreams. And of course, I mean, like to have a uh, hand in hand position with the Jupiter could make a good impact on her. Of course, the Jupiter is uh, sometimes associated with luck and abundance, etc. But it could be about how she gives meaning to her life and how she um, what she believes in and how she expands or what is her perspective about the world and everything might be uh, in line with her identity, and they could be a good team, though according to, of course, traditional astrology coming to that, it can be the case that sometimes the expansion, the growth, the meaning that is coming through this Jupiter in Taurus could be um, combusted by the beams of the sun. So, I mean, in that sense, I mean, it could be sometimes that Jupiter might not have that um, expression as much as it has because being under the impact of the sun. But still, I still believe that they could be a good couple, Sun and Jupiter in Taurus, when it comes to the her expression within the wider community. And as I said, I mean, again, coming from the what I said in the Six of Pentacles, I mean, like that in her identity, when we talk about the Sun, the her needs, the sometimes the motherhood or the sense of security, the safety, and also sometimes her physical body and her inner world, in addition to the her thinking, much maybe stable, maybe much slower thinking process to make things um, happen in a steady way, so that yeah, that it will she will make she would like to make sure that everything is all in order. So there is nothing that is like it's done in a way that nothing needs to be changed later. So she can have that kind of uh, steady thinking process that is still impactful on her Sun in Taurus. So, having said that, of course, I was talking about Mercury and Moon. It's always good to have a look in contrary to the Mercury in, I mean, that Mercury impact in Taurus. She has Mercury in Gemini, just entered into the sign of Gemini, which is at home, and she has this moon in Sagittarius. It's interesting because when we are talking about this Mercury in Taurus and moon in Taurus impact on the sun, actually her original, I mean, like the natal at least, Mercury and moon are in an air and fire sign. So it makes it more active. They make those expressions, the ideas, the communication, and the needs, and the the way of expressing the inner world emotions, how she feels, it is in a more active way, and in a more like, you know, action based, thinking based. I mean, like more like it's out there, not like the more like the earth signs, which is much more uh, passive in that sense, or much slower in terms of Taurus, or much steady, much practical. It's more like more in movement in a way, and prone to change actually, because these are her Mercury and the Moon are in mutable signs. So there is always this sense of adaptability. If the things turn out in the way we can always, like, she can always make sure that, okay, if this doesn't work this way, then I can make it work that way. So it's really interesting in that sense, like how the decan rulers and how her natal placements of those decan rulers are um, expressed through her chart. So I mean, looking at the sun, of course, the sun in Taurus is quite in contact with the rest of the sky, and we can see that I have already talked about the Jupiter part, but we see that there is a bit of um, conflicting energy with her uh, Mars in Aquarius, and there is a nice um, uh, harmony with the Neptune that we can see, which is in Capricorn, that was retrograde at the moment that she was born. And there's a kind of a like my way, your way, or middle way kind of energy with the Pluto in the Scorpio. They are nearly not the same degree, but they are opposing each other in that sense. So it's like uh, my power, my identity. How do we find the middle way? Not to have a fight like uh, the gods that meet in the middle of the bridge kind of solution searching. But of course, when the fixed signs are involved, sometimes the inertia could be quite high, and the things may not move as fast as, or as what can we say, as smooth as we want. But as a result of that inertia or the resistance energy, some bigger and more powerful results can come out as well. I mean, like if we are able to come over to this polarity that is happening in our lives. Of course, everyone's the way that the people live their lives, the conditions, the people they live with, and what they do may have a quite an impact as well, because as we are living our living examples of our birth charts, um, that's the photo of the moment that we were born, but how we can get the most out of it is generally in our hands. I mean, like in a way, that's the famous question always asked: fate or free will? Yes, yes, maybe there is a fate written here, but I think our free will is the way to live it in the most productive way possible. That's my at least personal uh, um, view about it, a humble opinion, let's say. So that's the Adele's natal chart. I will, as I said, I will stop sharing this. I will share the video that I had done about her last year. So that would be the end of my one decan, one card, one chart for the second decan of Taurus. I'm still thinking the third decan of Taurus, the minor arcana associated with that is the Seven of Pentacles. We will look at that together in my next video. Probably I will do it next week. But for the third decan of Taurus chart, I didn't think about it. If you are watching this video and if any public figure that comes to your mind with the sun after the 20 degree of Taurus, you may always also write a comment and I can have a look at that as well if I cannot find anything before that. All the best. Bye bye.